Okay, so this story all takes off back in my grade 7 year. And when I was in grade 7, I won't lie to you, I had a crazy addiction. I had an addiction to beating my eggplant. And this got even worse and worse over, the time of me going through that year. But basically, this story is about how I ended up getting an addiction to beating my meat. But obviously, before we talk about this story, make sure you guys do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Seriously, it means a lot when you guys do. And on top of that, if you guys have not already, make sure you guys join me live on Twitch, streaming and telling crazy stories just like this one. Other than that, let's just jump straight into this embarrassing story. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba, and welcome back to a very embarrassing story. So this story all starts off back in my grade 7 year. Now, in grade 7, I won't lie to you. Around this time, I was hitting puberty at its full peak. Like, it was hitting me like a rock non-stop. And I remember I really wasn't good at, handling the situation where I would get bricked up. Like, yes, I knew that, I would get bricked, but to be honest, I never actually just got it when I didn't want to get it, if that makes any sense. But basically, I remember one time it was a Friday and I was in my math class, and basically our teacher was teaching us something with with squares and shapes and stuff, and basically trigonometry. If you guys know what that is, then good for you. You guys are studying school, but I don't know. I totally forgot what it was, but I think it was trigonometry, and she was basically showing us how to calculate a triangle. And I remember out of nowhere, and I'm not joking when I say this, but basically I remember I was staring at the whiteboard, just looking at it, staring it down, and then I remember randomly, after looking at a triangle for so long, I ended up getting bricked. I don't know how. I was just looking at shapes. I was looking at a triangle, and I got bricked out of nowhere. Now at this point, I was actually concerned with myself. I'm thinking, yo, what is going on? Why did I get one? What am I attracted to? And I started looking around, and I realized that none of the girls in my classroom I was attracted to, and the whole time I was just focusing on school. So why in the world would I get bricked randomly? Now at this moment I was concerned, and I was actually kind of worried about myself, thinking, okay, something's wrong. I need to figure this out. What is going on with me? So what I decided to do was basically raise my hands up and say, can I go to the bathroom, please? And I stood up and I ran to the bathroom. When I got to the bathroom, I remember I sat there kind of panicking, thinking, yo, what is going on with me? Why am I, all of a sudden bricked up? And then I decided that, maybe I should text my mom and say that I want to go see the family doctor. Now my mom at this time would always see the doctor every week. I'm not gonna say why, because that's personal family stuff, but she was well known with the doctors and stuff. So I remember I ended up going to the doctor with her literally the next day on a Saturday. And when I went with her, I remember I decided to go see my family doctor, and when I sat down with her, I sat down and told her, hey, I have a question. So I randomly got bricked in the middle of class, but I wasn't looking at anything bad. It's just I was just looking at shapes and it just happened. My doctor looks at me and ends up telling me that this was normal for a teenager. She ended up telling me, you're growing into a man, and obviously you're hitting puberty. You'll realize that random moments in your life, you'll have certain arousal, and you will just have to handle it. And don't be afraid to, beat your meat, because, well, it's, in a way, it's healthy for you and your body. I ended up looking at her very weirdly, because obviously, what kind of doctor tells you that you should beat your meat? It doesn't make sense. But obviously, when I actually put research into it, actually started to make sense. But I remember from there, I was really happy that, this was a normal thing to happen to teenagers. So I remember that same day when I went home after seeing the doctor, I ended up going right to my bedroom, and I did everything I could with this. Yeah, this was my best friend for that weekend. I have no idea how, but I managed to beat my meat over 40 times that weekend, which was very crazy and very scary. But I will say this much: back when I was a kid, I never at that age was allowed to watch the Devil's Hub. So I ended up using Grand Theft Auto 5's amazing unicorn place to basically arouse myself. So I guess you guys could imagine me basically staring at a monitor. Yeah, you know what? I don't want to talk about it, but you guys get what I mean. I remember from there, I would always do that, and it got to a point where one time there was my mom that walked in, which you guys could go check out that video if you want to. But then I remember later on that Monday, it was school, and I went to school basically thinking that I handle myself. I ended up taking it all out of my system, which is not a thing, by the way. Anyways, I remember from there, I ended up basically going to all my classes, and I didn't get bricked up at all. I thought I was in full control until social studies came up. Now I remember I went to socials class, and basically we got handed our textbooks for socials, and basically one thing led to another. I ended up sitting down, going through the textbook to see what we were learning, and I ended up going through a page that had the Mona Lisa on it. Now I think everyone knows what the Mona Lisa is. It's a really old Leonardo da Vinci painting that's super popular, and for some reason super expensive for absolutely no reason. If the painting was a picture of a man, maybe it'd be more expensive. I have no idea. I think a picture of Andrew Tate would go for more. Sorry, okay, I'm getting out of hand. That sounded sexist. So sorry, going on though. Anyways, I remember basically from there, I ended up staring at this photo of Mona Lisa and I was super weirded out to the point where I actually ended up getting bricked up. Now, I had no idea why I got bricked up. I ended up looking down at my pants and I'm like, yo, what? Seriously? And from there, I really just wanted to handle it. But how was I going to handle it if I was at school? So I remember I ended up just standing up and actually just leaving the classroom. I didn't put my hand up, nothing. I just left the classroom and my teacher ended up sending my friend to go and get me and see what's wrong. As I was walking down the hallway, freaking out, my friend ended up coming up to me saying, yo, bro, like, you good? Like, the teacher's wondering why you just left like that. I'm not gonna lie, bro. I have a situation. And from there, he ended up looking down and looking at my legs and what was between my legs, and he realized that I was bricked. If you guys are wondering how he knew, I was wearing sweatpants that day. Anyways, going on, I remember he ended up looking at me saying, yo, bro, just go to the bathroom and just handle it. Like, what the hell? I can't. What am I supposed to handle it to? The toilet seat? Do you not have like any like a phone that you could just like, you know, enjoy yourself to? I have a phone, but like I don't have access to like those websites. Okay, bro, you know what? Why don't you just use my phone, go to the bathroom, handle your business, and just come back to class? I ended up staring at him really weirdly because what kind of friend hands you a phone for you to use the Devil's Hub on? Like, it made no sense. But basically, I ended up taking his phone and I ended up going to the bathroom and I ended up basically, I ended up watching the Devil's Hub. But to be honest, I have no idea like how to navigate that website back when I was in grade 7. So I ended up watching something with grannies in it. And yeah, let's just say I was in there for longer than 2 hours. But afterwards, when I finally ended up doing the Devil's Cream, I ended up getting up and finally going back to the classroom. And class was already over. My teacher basically gave me the assignments I missed and I got in serious trouble. And by serious, I mean serious trouble by my parents that day. And to be honest, I ended up telling them I injured myself, but I just didn't say where. Anyways, guys, that is basically it for today's story. Make sure you guys do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And like I always say, just follow for more embarrassing stories just like this one. Peace out, guys. Bro, for some reason, I was bricked and it would not go down no matter how many times I did the Devil's Cream. And I was bricked for 24 hours. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba and welcome back to another super embarrassing story. So this story all takes place back when I was in high school and this was my grade 10 year. Now in grade 10, one thing I will say was that I was known as a player, meaning that like everyone in my school literally knew that I was pulling girls left and right. And I will say this, yes, it led to a lot of girls not liking me, but at the same time, it made a lot of girls curious of how I was so good at doing the Devil's Tango. But I remember one day specifically in my grade 10 year where basically I was sitting in the cafeteria with me and my friends and a girl ended up walking up to me. She walked up to me and said, hey, Bubba, I was just wondering, what are you doing after school? Nothing yet. Why? Well, like, I was wondering if you wanted to like hang out. Yeah, sure. I'm down, is what I told her. And she walked away. My friends would usually see this happen all the time when I was hanging out with them because there was no question that, you know, I could pull girls. But I remember one of them looked at me and said, Bubba, don't you ever like get tired, bro, of just like doing it? Like, don't you just ever like want to just not do it? Like, do you have a day where you just are not active whatsoever and always in the mood? Not that I know of, to be honest. And my friends just ended up pausing, staring at me really awkwardly, but then kept going on with their day. As the bell rang for class to start, I remember I started walking towards my classroom and out of nowhere, one of my friends ended up walking up to me saying, yo, Bubba, I just want to say, bro, like, are you like taking anything to like, you know, keep yourself always active and stuff? No, why? Well, like, I have something I want you to try. I'm scared to try it myself, but I think you trying it might be a good idea. I don't know. Sure, what is it? Here, give it to me. He ended up going inside his backpack and he ended up pulling out these like little pills. And I'm gonna say this right now for anyone in school, no one should be taking random pills from your friends. You never know what's gonna happen to you. And this is just a learning lesson that I ended up paying for. Okay, but basically what ended up happening was he pulled out these little pills that were like little white ones. And I remember I looked at him saying, bro, what is that? Like Tylenol? Like, I don't have a headache or anything. Nah, Bubba, trust. Just take these, bro. Apparently, they're supposed to make you super active. Like, super active. I mean, I'm already pretty super active. Are you sure I should be taking these? Bro, trust. You'll be fine. I think. I just want to see if it works on you. And if it does, then I'll take it too. Okay, sure. But when do I take it? You take it like right before you're about to do the Devil's Tango. Okay, well, I guess I'll take it later then. I ended up putting the pills in my backpack and I remember I ended up going to class. And basically throughout the whole school day, in my mind, I had a question of what do these pills actually do? If you guys know what they do, then comment down below. But me, I didn't really know what these pills did. And I was actually questioning if I should even take them or not. Because usually I'd never had, you know, a performance issue down there with my eggplant. But going on with the story, I remember after school came around and basically I ended up meeting up with this girl in the front of the school. And me and her, we started walking straight to the mall. We walked around, had a good time and stuff. And then that's when she told me, oh, Bubba, I was just wondering, do you want to like maybe head back to your place? Yeah, sure, I'm down, is what I told her. And we ended up going back to my place. And well, I remember when we got to my place and we started basically sitting in my bedroom, we ended up making out. And one thing led to another. I remember that I had these pills. So I ended up basically pushing her off me for a sec. And I said, said, yo, I have to go to the bathroom real quick. And I ended up grabbing my backpack as I was going to the bathroom, and I ended up pulling out these pills. Now, when he gave me these pills, I just want to say that these pills were not in any sort of box or any sort of container. They were straight up in a plastic bag, or not a plastic bag, but like a Ziploc bag. So I remember as I'm looking at these pills, I'm thinking to myself, okay, there's 4 of them in here. Do I take all 4 or do I just take 1? And I didn't really know what to do, so I only did what was the smart decision, and I took all 4. Now, I'm gonna say this right now for anyone that, you know, takes any sort of pills or anything, it can lead to very dangerous things, and it's better safe than sorry. But basically, I ended up taking all 4. I ended up drinking water from the sink, and I went back into the bedroom. When I went back into the bedroom, me and her, we basically got back into the mood. We ended up, you know, getting close and stuff, and one thing led to another. I started to realize, like 20 minutes later, that my eggplant was severely bricked. Like, bricked than it's ever been in my life of doing the Devil's Tango. And at that moment, I'm looking down at myself thinking, whoa, okay, I guess. And me and this girl, we ended up doing the Devil's Tango. And I'm not joking. No matter how many times me and her did the Devil's Tango, I would never, and I mean ever, get unbricked. I was like permanently bricked. And I remember this girl, after like 4 hours of me and her doing it, she looks at me and says, Bubba, are you just like not attracted to me? What's going on with you? I'm gonna be honest, I'm not really sure what, but it's okay. This happens usually. Okay. Now, I totally ended up lying to this girl, but at the same time, I really had no idea what was going on with me. And I remember this girl ended up going home, and me, the whole day, as I was just walking throughout my house, taking a shower, eating dinner with my family, I was just always bricked, and I didn't know why. I remember I ended up basically that night tried to go to bed, but I realized that for some reason, I was not able to sleep because I was still bricked. So in my mind, I'm thinking, you know what? I'm just gonna, you know, beat my meat and get it over with. And I started doing that, and one thing led to another. I remember I ended up basically beating my meat until like 4 a.m. at night. I got no sleep that night since I was so, well, I guess, caught up with trying to get my brickness down that it was just not stopping. Now, I know the story sounds really weird, but trust me, it gets a lot worse because I remember the next day when I went to school, instantly, the first person I went to was my friend who gave me those pills. And I walked up to him and said, yo, bro, I need to talk to you right now. Yeah, sure. What's going on, Bubba? No, like, I need to talk to you like right now. Come with me. I ended up grabbing him by the wrist, and I grabbed him and I dragged him to the bathroom, and I ended up pushing him into a bathroom stall and said, yo, bro, tell me, what are these pills exactly? I don't know. Some girl gave me them, and like, she said like it'll help us like, you know, do the Devil's Tango better, but like, I didn't trust her, so like, I ended up giving it to you. Well, bro, I've been bricked the entire day since yesterday when you gave me them. I am not joking. I've been bricked for almost 24 hours. Like, why isn't this going down? I remember he looked at me and kind of started to worry because obviously, like, it's really not easy being bricked for this long. And he ended up saying to me, okay, Bubba, I have a question. When I gave you the pills, how many did you take? Everything that was in the bag. You took all 4 of them? I remember at that moment, he started freaking out. And he said, bro, you were only supposed to take 1. What are you doing? Well, you didn't say that, nor did you write it down. So I thought I should just take all of them. No wonder you're bricked, bro. You took way more than you should have. At that moment, me and my friend, we ended up searching up like pills that make you bricked. And we ended up finding out what pill it was, but we didn't know exactly what brand or what type it was because, well, like he said earlier, he ended up getting those from a girl. So I remember me being super bricked with my buddy, which is really awkward to say, but me and my friend, we ended up walking throughout the school trying to find the girl that he was seeing. And when we finally found her, we ended up basically grabbing her by the wrist, like straight up, not any conversation or words were passed between each other. And we pulled her aside into a classroom and asked her about everything. I remember when we told her everything, she ended up laughing actually. And she said to us, oh my goodness, you guys know, like that was only supposed to be for him because he can't handle me. And I wanted him to last longer. Me just standing there awkwardly. I didn't know what to say because, well, like, you know, that's their Devil's Tango. Life, not mine. But one thing led to another. She ended up saying that in a couple hours it should go down, and well, she was right. I want to say like around lunchtime that day finally went down, and luckily for me, I ended up not being bricked anymore. But I will say this, I did not end up beating my eggplant or doing the Devil's Tango for an entire week after that because I needed to rest, and that was like only one of the first times I actually got to rest after doing the Devil's Tango. The real question is though, would you guys ever take pills like this? Because if you guys would, then just fall for more embarrassing stories. Peace out, guys. All right, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba, and welcome back to another insane story. So today's story is honestly something that I have to explain, and I know what the title looks like, but trust me when I say this, I didn't really mean to do it, okay? It was just something in my hormonal instinct that I had just had to do. But anyways, it all starts off back in high school. I remember this was my grade 9 year, and I was a totally new kid in the school, and I'm gonna be for real with you guys, I didn't really, well, let's just say I had enough Devil's Tango going on in my life. Yes, I did lose the V card in grade 8, that is true, and you know, there's a story about how I lost it on the channel. But I'm gonna be real with you guys. Honestly, after that day, I've always ended up having raging hormones. It's a very common thing that happens in all teenagers. And guys, you guys all know this. Like, it's just a real thing. So I remember as a high schooler, every time I'd walk through the hallways or, you know, go and just do a simple task of just seeing a girl drinking water in the, you know, school's water fountain, I'd always get kind of bricked up. It was really bad because I always get bricked up at the most random moments in my life. Like, guys, you guys all know this when you get like bricked up out of nowhere. It's a very common thing. And I know this story sounds really weird, but I'm gonna be real with you guys. What story isn't weird on my channel? Anyways, going on with that, I remember one time I was walking down the hallway and I saw a girl drinking water. And no, I didn't get bricked up from her just drinking basic water out of a water bottle. But I remember she was drinking water and out of nowhere, she ended up spilling it all over herself. To the point where, I'm not gonna lie, her white shirt got super soaked. Now, to most people, it'd probably be like, oh my goodness, like, bro, like, she literally just got soaked. Like, why are you getting so, like, bricked up over that? You're so weird. Guys, you gotta understand, she was wearing a white shirt. And when white gets wet, it gets see-through, okay? And since it was see-through, your boy got bricked. It was super embarrassing. And I know to this day, thinking back on it, it must have been super weird. So I remember I was wearing sweatpants that day, and in no way was I gonna walk around being bricked with sweatpants on. Boys, you guys understand this. Girls, on the other hand, you guys have no idea what I'm talking about. So going on from there, I remember basically, I found it super awkward, so I ended up running to the bathroom. And when I ran to the bathroom, I basically just started thinking about my grandma and basically, you know, thought about, you know, basically anything that would make me unbricked. This was a very common method, and I remember this happened to me many times throughout the school year. I know, it sounds super weird, but it's true. And that's one thing I'm gonna be honest about with this channel. I would never lie to you guys, especially about my own feelings. Like, it's a common thing. Anyways, a couple weeks later, I remember my teacher ended up coming in front of the class and ended up saying, all right, guys, so make sure you guys are okay with wearing something wet because we're gonna be having water day, which is like, you know, sports and all this cool fun activities outside, but at the same time, you guys will get wet because we're gonna be having like a water event happening. I don't know what she really meant. Basically, what she was trying to explain was that there was gonna be like an event where we all can bring water guns and water balloons, and we're basically gonna be splashing each other left and right. Don't get me wrong, I have no way do I have a problem with nailing kids with a water balloon because it's the most entertaining thing ever. Like, have you guys ever gotten just a big rock and just decided to throw it at a kid? Hopefully not, because that would be extremely painful, but I would do it with a water balloon any day of the week. So I remember basically from there, I got really excited. Me and my friends, we ended up going home that day and hopped on Xbox, and we started talking about how exciting things were and basically how we were gonna soak up the school. I remember one of my friends ended up saying that he had like this super water balloon thing where you could like fill up 6 water balloons at once, which is really cool. But at the same time, my friend ended up saying that he had the best water gun in the market. Apparently it was one of those ones that were like shoot really far away, and it would basically get a person soaked easily. Like, it was one of the coolest things ever, and it was like a super soaker of some sorts. I have no idea, but it was awesome. So I remember knowing this, I really wanted to join in. So I remember I ended up buying one online and got 1-day delivery just so it would come in the next day. I remember the next day it ended up coming in really early in the morning, which was perfect because then I could take it to school. And when I took it to school, I remember I literally ended up loading that thing up before even class started. I had it in my backpack all prepared, and all my friends throughout the whole school day were watching me and how I carried this thing in my backpack. Don't get me wrong, carrying guns in school is never a good idea, but when it's a super soaker, now you're speaking my language, you know what I'm saying? So I remember the bell ended up ringing and the after school came along, and when after school came, I remember I was super excited. I was so excited to the point where I really just wanted to whip it out so badly. That sounded really bad, but you guys know what I meant. But I really wanted to whip it out and just basically start soaking people. But I remember we had to wait for the event to start and everything until my teacher ended up saying, okay, class, it's time to bring out your water balloons and stuff and head outside. So when she said that, I remember I was super excited. I remember I literally got up and literally sprinted out the doors. And when I did, I remember afterwards, I ended up actually getting the gun out as fast as I could, and I ended up basically shooting it at people with really, really old water. This water was there in the gun for, I want to say, almost like 7 hours almost, which is really gross because isn't like school like 6 hours of your school day? I have no idea, but basically it was in there for a long time. And I remember I ended up running around the school shooting everyone. Anyone that was in my line of sight was gonna get soaked, and I would throw basically all these water balloons at them that I could, that my friend gave me and put in my backpack. And I remember I was soaked. I remember all my friends were soaked, and the worst part was I remember I ended up looking to the left side of me, and as I shot the cheerleading team, well, that was my biggest mistake because all of them were wearing their bikinis already and they were soaked, and I remember I was just staring them down, and that's when it happened again. I got a major bricked. Like, this was like the bricked of all bricks. Like, these are the ones where you can't just leave alone. You got to do something about it. So I remember I ended up basically kind of crossing my legs almost, but in a way just hiding my giant bricked up eggplant with my super soaker gun, and walked up to my friend saying, oh guys, I have to go home. I'm gonna go get changed. All my my friends were kind of weirded out because we had a plan to stay there for the longest and basically soak everyone before they left. But I didn't want to be bricked up anymore. I remember it was going to the point where it hurted and I really need to get this taken care of. So I remember I ended up telling them that, and one of my friends even said, bro, like really? Like you're leaving like right now? Yeah, dude, sorry, I gotta go. And I ended up leaving and I ended up going to the change room. I went to the school's change room and there was a lot of people there, but then I waited till everyone left. Then afterwards, I remember I ended up sitting in the bench that was in the change room and I did it. Yes, I did what the title of this video says. I know it's embarrassing, but it is what it is, okay? I had to do it. So I remember I basically ended up whipping out my eggplant and I did my business. I literally did the devil's meat. It was really bad, and honestly, to this day, I really think, did I really do it in the change room? But I did, and I had to, because it was just, you know, something I had to get taken care of. So I remember as I was basically on my phone watching the devil's hub and basically, you know, beating it as much as I could. I remember I was almost finishing until a teacher walked in. Yes, an actual teacher ended up walking into the change room. I know, it's super embarrassing and super dumb, but it is what it is, okay? So I remember a teacher walked in, and when she walked in, she ended up basically looking around to make sure no one was in the change rooms because it was the end of the school day, basically. And as she was looking around, she saw I was sitting there with my hand in my pants. Yeah, I know. It sounds really bad, but then I remember she walked up to me and said, Bubba, you can't be doing that in here. I remember I looked at her with my hand literally holding my eggplant, and I'm like, I'm sorry. And literally, as I turn off my phone, the sound of a woman on the devil's hub was still playing. So I didn't know what to say at that point. I remember I literally got up and I literally like let my hand go. And yes, it was sticky, but you know, it is whatever. I went out of the change room, ran to the nearest bathroom, washed my hands, and I sprinted home. No joke, I literally ran out of the school and sprinted home as fast as I could. My friends didn't see me. No one else saw me. And to be honest, I am like 100% sure I ended up leaving my super soaker gun in the change room. But you know what? I don't care. I really didn't think twice about it because that was so embarrassing to think that my teacher that was literally checking the change rooms to make sure no one was in there ended up seeing me beating my enormous eggplant. Yeah, I don't know what to think. Like, what would you guys do in this situation, okay? Anyways, guys, that's basically it for today's story. Make sure you do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Seriously, means a lot when you guys do. And like I always say, just follow for more embarrassing but crazy stories. All right, peace out, guys.